I just found out my BF is married with a kid, and even though I dumped him, I keep having thoughts about being with him. Hi Reddit. I guess I'm not really here for advice as to what to do with this relationship, but more of advice as to how to move on, and anything that might help. Sorry if this post is long-winded. I was seeing a guy for a few months and who I met over the summer. I had to go back to university halfway across the world, and I thought that nothing would thus progress out of it. However, he told me that he would fly over to see me. He would fly over to where I was and stayed with me for nearly a month each time. Those few months were absolute bliss. He was kind and gentle, and he would do the littlest things that made me feel that he could possibly be the one, or at least be around for a very long time, as naive as I sound. He would cook for me in the morning, improve my apartment, and took care of me when I was ill or down. It was like he understood me and was in tune to my needs. I had insomnia before, but that went away when he was here. Simply put, when I was with him, it felt like there was nothing to worry about, and he would be there for me even through my personal problems. I get very paranoid sometimes and would question him, but his answer was that I was the only one if I wasn't. Then how would it be possible that he was out of country for so long without good reason? My fears slowly quelled, and I was looking forward to the next time he was going to be here, which was this weekend. I found out he wasn't who I thought he was when I decided to stalk his social media profile's history. His page did not have anything suspicious until I saw a like from someone. Long story short, I found out that he was married with a kid. It might be that he is estranged from them, as he is able to post photos of his trip over here. But estranged or not, it doesn't matter. Confronted him, and he was trying to deny it. He claimed it was a sham marriage and the kid wasn't his, that he married her to enable her to stay in country for business purposes. I kept questioning him, and he just kept telling me more details, which I could barely stand to hear. Even if his story was true, he told me that he would do anything I wanted now, and that we could settle down anywhere I like, and that he was willing to give up everything back home for me. I told him to void the marriage and change the surname of the kid, and that I wanted proof that the kid wasn't his. At this point, I was hysterical and knew that I already could not accept him even if what he said was true. I eventually probed further on myself and found more stuff that was deeply hurtful and just proved that he was telling me a lie. He told me that since it was a sham marriage that nobody knew. This obviously was not the case, as I found. I texted him with what I saw and told him that we were over, and ignored him for the last couple of days. He was begging me to let him see me this weekend and that it wasn't what I thought it was. He sent me photos and told me that he was at the lawyer's office and that he wants to fix everything so he can be with me. I told my mom about this, and she called him up. She told me that he had nothing to say and that he was silent. It is just a few days after I found out all this. It hurts a lot and I can barely get out of bed. I had been sleeping the past 2 days and not eating. Sometimes the pain from the betrayal gets so unbearable. I can't get rid of the thoughts about the whole thing, and I think back a lot to the times we spent together. Sometimes, I feel hopeful that we can work it out, but then I remember what the situation is and that it would be an absolute deal breaker for just about anyone. I just cannot believe that the man I was with could turn out to be someone totally different from what I knew. Now, I am afraid that I would not find someone who would be able to make me feel the same way and be so in tune with my needs and wants. It was a bonus that he was also tall and attractive to me at least, and also well-to-do and capable of providing me with a comfortable standard of living. I fear that he might be the one I keep thinking about, and that I have lost out on a good life with him where I didn't have to worry about anything. Sometimes I wish I didn't find out so I could be happier for a bit longer. We had plans to take a month-long holiday this December. I just cannot believe how he could do all this for me, yet on the other side, be someone I don't even know. It all sounds stupid, but when I was with him, it seemed perfect how everything was, and it felt that I was truly his love of his life. TLDR. Found out the guy I was with is married. I dumped him but keep having delusional thoughts about being with him. I worry that I will never find someone better and that I will not be satisfied with someone else in the future. Redditors, it would help me heal and understand what is happening more if you could tell me if I had made a good decision, and whether feeling all this is normal at this point of time. Especially if you could share any experiences. Update. I just found out my BF is married with a kid, and even though I dumped him, I keep having thoughts about being with him. Mini update. The wife sent me a Facebook friend request which I just saw. Not gonna accept it just yet until I get a good night's sleep. Hi Reddit, still in a state of shock now as to what happened. I might post another update, but for now, I'll just write out the gist of what happened. He had flown over to me after I found out to explain himself, that is, his story on how it was a sham marriage. Reddit. You might find me stupid, and I think I really am now, but I was in so much denial we never got around talking about it. Instead, I spent the next 2 weeks including my birthday with him, and it was happiness. We flew back on the same day to our home country, which was 2 days ago. Upon arriving in Singapore, I immediately got upset again, probably due to the change of environment and onset of reality. I texted a few angry messages and he begged to see me. I told him the only time I wanted to see him is if he brought me home. Long story short, after he picked me up in the evening and he wasted 3 hours trying to convince me not to go to his place and if we can do it another day, I ended up at his place at night. So I was face to face with his family. I found out from her all the lies he had been feeding to them, while she found out from me the lies he had been telling me. I found out the car and the house was bought with her money. She said she was supporting him and had been doing so for the past 10 years, starting off by paying his debts when he was declared bankrupt. He did not own the businesses like he told me. They belonged to either his friends or her. He effectively did not do much or anything at all. The sickening part is even after all this, when we were left alone, I asked him what if I still wanted him. She told him that if he loved me, she would be happy to divorce since they did not have any feelings anymore anyway, and that she was more upset over the probable fact he used her money on me. She asked him if he loved me and he couldn't reply. It was obvious to her that he did. And he said he did. He said if I wanted him, he wanted to be with me too. But he would lose everything. He only had some money which was parked overseas. He said he couldn't let her know when I asked about it in front of me because he wanted to hide some assets. He had even went to the lawyers 2 weeks back because he wanted to leave for me, but he was afraid of losing the comfortable life he had. I was the happy, unknown life he would choose if I wanted him. Of course, there is no real way I could ever be with him, but I cry so much because there and then I realized, never cared much about money or the little things he did. Even at that point, I just wanted to have time with him. Maybe I am delusional, but I could be sleeping on the streets and still be happy if he was with me. My parents came over to his place, and my dad almost beat him up in front of the security guard. And I went home. I have been in bed for an entire day sleeping it out. I think I am traumatized after what happened last night. Maybe still in shock because I'm still in some denial. I don't know what I should do now, what I want out of this and what I want for myself, what I want him to do so I can have closure. I'm still texting him for no good reason occasionally when I wake up. I just wanted him to make me exist in his world and not just someone who existed for a while. He chose me and I wanted him to choose me. But for what? I'm so hurt and in pain. I never thought I would have to experience such a scenario in my life. It was like a movie or a drama sitcom. When I was there in the house, she wanted to know everything so she knows what kind of person he really was. I said a lot of what he did and bought for me as she wanted to know. There are still some more stuff I remembered. I want to message her telling her everything else. Maybe it is to make myself feel better, or maybe it is because I do not want them to remain together just for the kid and he would be able to continue living that comfortable life as if I never happened. Tell, Dr. I went to his place. He was lying to me even up until I stepped into his house. She had no real reaction or emotion. Very calm. He had been lying about owning businesses and, according to her, had been using her money. Car and house belonged to her too. I am still in shock. I don't know what to do after this. I am still texting him even after all this and even after my parents confronted him. She wanted to know about him and me and I left out some stuff. Should I message her the remaining details? Additional info. He is 40 and she is 21.